Okay, this is the first video for Module 42 about expressed emotion, and so this one is specifically about fear. So fear is controlled by the amygdala. The amygdala helps associate specific emotions with particular stimuli. So this is why when you go and get frightened by a snake or spider or those kinds of things, you have an experience with it, and your amygdala will help associate that particular stimulus with fear. So the way it actually looks is that in your brain, you start by, you see this snake here. So the thalamus receives the stimulus and it goes directly to the amygdala. The amygdala registers the danger, and the amygdala makes a fear reaction. Okay. Now, obviously, what happens is that as we get this clear image of this supposed snake, maybe you look at it closer and all of a sudden, oh, wait, no, that's a twig. And you're not as scared anymore. But the amygdala has been associated with fear particularly, and we have talked about in the last video we talked about the high road and low road. This is kind of like an automatic response. Now there has been studies of people that have their amygdala damaged or missing, and as a result they do have a hard time expressing and recognizing fear. There have been studies where it looked at individuals that had this damaged, and they were not only not able to show fear themselves, but when other people were showing fear, they didn't recognize that as fear. Now they can go and recognize that the situations that could potentially cause fear, so they try and mimic what other people are doing, but they don't actually feel that way themselves. So I actually found this this t-shirt online. It says, "No amygdala, no fear." Now, experience and genes do help shape what you are afraid of. It's not genetic from the standpoint of if your parents were afraid of heights, you will be afraid of heights, but there is a genetic component from the standpoint of your temperament. And so your temperament can go and be inherited, which could then lead to you going and experiencing and how you interpret your experiences, and so therefore that leading to fear. So the experiences that you have can potentially lead to what you are afraid of. So if you're locked in a closet as a kid by your sibling that had a whole bunch of spiders in it, that could lead to fear. Or if you they locked you in the basement, or you saw some scary movies with creepy crawly things, those things could definitely lead to fear. Now, last question: can you be scared to death? That's a picture of Janet Leigh, by the way, from the movie Psycho. But can you be scared to death? Can you actually go and have an experience where you're so afraid that it leads to death? Well, research has actually shown that it is possible. It is not common, but it is possible. So one of the things that I found was I found some specific instances of this. So on November 19th, 1983, Pearl Pismagallo, I don't know how to say her last name, age 60, was working as a hotel clerk when Michael Stewart handed her a paper bag with a note. "Don't say a word, put all the money in this bag and no one will get hurt." Pearl complied, Stewart fled, and the police were called. 2 hours later, Pearl was dead of a heart failure. She had no history of heart trouble, and a jury convinced that Stewart had scared her to death later convicted him of murder. Another example, on Memorial Day weekend, 1988, Barbara Reyes, 40, was floating on a raft when a man on a jet ski roared within a foot of her. Panicked, she paddled ashore, collapsed, and died. The skier was arrested and charged with involuntary manslaughter. Omar Toros, Panama's former dictator, reportedly amused himself by killing a prisoner with an unloaded gun. Blanks apparently were enough to frighten the victim to death. Another example, an elderly man sitting on his lawn collapsed and died when a car jumped the curb and seemed to head straight for him. Another example, a 45-year-old man reportedly died of fright as he stepped up to the dais to give a speech. All of these examples showing of people that literally did get scared to death. Now, again, it's not very common, but it could happen. Some neurologists did look into this, and they said that there was some connections, and it was more of a, connections with how, susceptible to this are you? How susceptible is your heart to being startled? And there was some studies that specifically, I hate to say this for people who like dogs, but there were some studies with dogs that suggested fear may kill. When a person is terrified, the adrenaline and there's similar chemicals that combine and to speed up the heart. So what they did with dogs was they injected this chemical in a similar chemical into the dogs, and when they died, they did these autopsies and revealed that there's this lesion on their heart. And then what they did is they compared just to the hearts of people that supposedly died, that were scared to death, and they had the same lesions. So it is possible, however, it is not probable. So I wanted to make sure I pointed that out. Last but not least, on Canvas, I did want to show you this. On Canvas, I do have a handout, a fear survey, so you can check this out, see which ones you are fearful of. There are 35 items in total. In class, I had everybody rate on a scale of 1 to 5 how afraid they are of these items. And then I told them some of the stats as far as the averages of males versus females from 435 introductory college students at Temple University. But it's kind of an interesting to take a look at. All right, that's it for now. Let me know if you have any questions.